Right, joining us to discuss the new visa regulations being implemented in South Africa is Peter Wieselthaler, Director of Immigration Law at Thomson Wilks. Good to have you with us, Peter. I understand that you liaise quite a bit with clients and corporate clients locally and internationally in getting some of their employees here, and your relationship with them and the correspondence that you're receiving from them, are they finding that these new regulations are weighing a little bit heavy on their talent management?
Absolutely. I deal with a number of international corporates, and their ability to bring in the required skills that they need is being severely affected by the Department of Home Affairs and the new regulations under 2014.
When you say severely, sorry Alec, how serious is the issue?
Well, it's very serious. Home Affairs have surprised the entire market. They gave no warning of the new regulations that were going to be implemented, and was a surprise attack. You know, a number of my clients have said it's been like one of those series where only the top brass of the Department of Home Affairs knew anything about this implementation. It's quite a funny story. I was sitting on a Thursday afternoon, 22nd of May, and I got a phone call from a colleague in Cape Town who said that the new immigration regulations had been published in the Government Gazette. I said to him, there's no possible ways that that could have happened. We would have definitely been given some sort of a warning or something. And there it was. We logged onto the Government Gazette website, and they were published with implementation on the 26th of May.
Just unpack them for us.
Sorry, say that again?
Unpack them for us.
The new regulations.
Yes.
A complete overhaul of the previous regulations, repealing some of the visa categories that were available under the old categories, and just making it a lot more onerous for all of the applicants.
And you never had any prior warning about this? Did anyone have any warning?
In February this year, they printed out draft regulations for public comment. All of the immigration practitioners then commented on those regulations, but the new regulations were then just published on the 22nd of May, effective 26th of May. And
were they very different to the comments that you would have provided?
Very, very different.
In what way?
More onerous.
What do you mean more onerous? What does that mean?
Well, under the old regulations, looking at the general work permit, for example, under the old regulations, advertisements needed to be done, searches in South Africa needed to be done by the corporates looking for local candidates to fill the position. If that wasn't done, then the offer could be made to the foreign employees. Under the new regulations, the Department of Labour now has to be approached to do what's called a diligent search. They then send a letter of recommendation to the Department of Home Affairs on all of these applications, making it a lot more onerous.
I want us to touch on that essential skills or essential services list. I think that's what it's referred to. And I recall when we spoke to Jess Green from Immigration South Africa, he said it's interesting to note that maths and science teachers have been left off of that list.
No, exactly. The implementation of critical skills visa has been shocking, to say the least. Engineering Council of South Africa, Institute of Directors, the Institute of Business Advisors, all are not issuing these motivation letters for these guys to come in. Part of the regulations for critical skills visa says you need a letter of motivation from a relevant government body or from one of the bodies that you would have to subscribe to, like the Engineering Council of South Africa if you're an engineer.
I'm really confused because I see many Chinese people coming into South Africa all the time. Not a lot of them, well, maybe some of them are skilled, but primarily a lot of these people are retailers. And yet, when you're telling me now if we want to bring in maths and science teachers, you have to ask the Department of Labour first to give you a letter, which presumably is a quick turnaround?
No, it's not at all. The position would have to be advertised in the national printed media for a period of 30 days. The employer would have to prove to the Department of Labour that they've conducted a diligent search. Once they've compiled all of their documentation, they would then submit it to the Department of Labour. Department of Labour would then consider the application for a period of 30 working days.
So where do all these Chinese people come from? Do they get special visas?
Well, I can't comment on that. I'm not sure on how the Chinese people are coming.
Peter, I'm okay. Take it from the perspective of a member of the public. Everything you've said to us now gives me the impression that we don't want people from outside of the country to come into the country. You're making it more difficult for skills to come through. What would motivate that? Is this politics?
Well, I can't comment on what the motivation is behind it. We went to a briefing by the Department of Labour where they confirmed that the foreign work pool is too great and they want to start cutting down on the foreign work pool within the country, thereby making it more difficult for foreign nationals to apply for working visas in the country.
Do we have a skills shortage in South Africa?
Absolutely, we have a skills shortage.
So who's going to fill those positions if we are unable to bring in people from abroad?
Well, at the moment, a number of my corporate clients are sitting with a skills shortage where they just simply cannot get people in.
So the Department of Labour is saying it doesn't matter, you must put people into the, presumably, if they want to cut back that labour pool?
Well, the Department of Labour's function is to ensure that the diligence search is done under the general work visa. If they are of the opinion that the employer has done that diligence search and there is no local candidate to do it, they will then recommend the application for the general work visa.
Are your clients looking for different geographies?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Give us an example.
Considering investments into Australia, considering investments into the US, considering investments into other countries in Africa. It's just becoming so difficult here to get anything done.
What can you do about it, or what can be done about addressing this?
Well, I've addressed a number of letters to the Department of Home Affairs. The biggest frustration that all of the immigration practitioners or attorneys have is the lack of information that the Department of Home Affairs is giving us. They've got a notice board on their website, they've got a statement on their website. All they need to do is publish the internal directives. Home Affairs seem to be very happy to watch all these foreign nationals and the immigration attorneys and practitioners hit their heads against the wall and stumble when new regulations are done. You guys will be aware of that Directive 9 of 2014, where if you do not have a visa in your passport, but you have a pending application with the Department of Home Affairs, if you present yourself at the airport to exit the country, you get declared an undesirable person. There's been quite a lot of case law on this. All Home Affairs had to do was give us a bit of warning. But one of my clients went on the Monday morning when the directive was issued, and they were declared an undesirable person with absolutely no notice.
Which meant what?
They weren't allowed to return to the country for a period of 5 years.
5 years.
5 years. So
This is someone who's working for a corporate company that's bringing investments into SA.
With a pending application of 6 months.
No, I've got a friend who's put a bit of money into the United States and he was given a green card.
Absolutely.
So it seems as though we're doing the opposite.
Yeah, there are visa categories and permanent residence categories where you can make investments into South Africa, but again the process is very bureaucratic and long-winded. There's nothing quick about it.
Maybe it goes down to policy again, huh? We're doing the wrong things to make a business-friendly environment in South Africa.
But somebody somewhere has got to have decided that they wanted us to go along this route. And that's what confuses me. The thinking seems to be a little bit skewed, maybe by politics.
Absolutely. A lot of the immigration practitioners are on exactly the same page. We don't have the answers. A number of my big corporate clients have said to me, Peter, we trust you, we believe in you, we listen to everything that you say, but we can't accept the advice that you're giving us. So they've then got second and third opinions, come back to me and said, the whole market is at 6s and 7s at the moment. No one seems to be able to know how to advise their clients.
Peter, thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely get you back again. But that was Peter Wieselthaler, Director of Immigration Law at Thomson Wilks.